Hey everybody, welcome back to the Flash Focus Hall of Fame tier list series. We're doing center fielders today. This is Deej, here with my brother Smokey. How you doing, guy?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing just fine. All right, let's jump right into Richie Ashburn. All right, so Richie Ashburn was on the Phillies. Got 64 WAR. Got 2,600 hits, 300 hitter. Kind of a shorter career. Well, 15 seasons. A couple batting titles, 4 on base titles. Got 200 hits, led the league in hits several times. Let's look at his individual WAR seasons. All right, cracked 6 5 times. That's certainly very nice. 111 OPS plus. Stole some bags, not a prolific base stealer. Although stolen bases were way down in the 50s. He was on this 62 Mets. Was that the horrible team that lost like a billion games? Yeah. So he was the center fielder for that horrible Mets team. So just kind of an interesting footnote. And that's how he ended his career. So, that kind of sucks. Good plus center fielder, not amazing. All right. I am thinking for Ashburn, he feels like a pretty right up the middle Hall of Famer. Feels kind of like a C tier to me. What do you think about Richie?
I think he's, I've heard of him. I remember reading about him. That does have an abbreviated career. I would have liked to see him a little longer. I think he's more of a D tier, but you could convince me he's a C tier.
Yeah, I get his WAR is a little on the light side, but he had a shorter career. He led the league in plenty of stuff. He had a great glove. He had 2,600 hits, and he was like a hit guy. That was his game, so he was good at what he was good at. He walked a lot. 4 on base titles, that's pretty good. That means he was the toughest out in the league 4 times, which is, as like a kind of a speedy leadoff hitter type, that's exactly what you want. So, I think like if you're between C and D, I think I'll stick him at C. I think he's definitely got that extra little je ne sais quoi to get him over the hump. All right, so next up is Earl Averill. So Averill was the Cleveland Indians center fielder. So we're Guardians fans, so that's cool for us. So I've seen Averill, I think his number's retired. His name's all over the ballpark. But looking at this guy's numbers, I'm not sure I get it. 133 OPS plus, hit almost 320 in his career, but not much black ink. Cracked 6 3 times and 5 a couple more times. Only 52 WAR. Not rated as a plus fielder. I definitely can't see this guy as so much as an average Hall of Famer. God, he didn't play very long. Only 13 seasons, and 2 of them were basically.
What does his plaque say?
Yeah, let's see. Ooh, they called him the Earl of Snohomish. It's kind of a cool little nickname there. All right, his plaque. So his 300 hitter and hit. So yeah, he was the team home run leader for a long time. He had 238 home runs as a Cleveland bowler. He got a lot of hits. So they kind of talk about his hits, RBIs. Just kind of generic stuff. I don't know. What do you think? I'm leaning D, and that's being kind of charitable because he's a Cleveland guy.
Yeah, I would say D or E. He should have been either a better fielder or a better. I'm not seeing what makes this guy even an average Hall of Famer.
Yeah, all right. I'll take my Homer cap off. I think he's an E tier. He's not. I can buy his greatness to some extent. So I don't think I would kick him out quite. And 50 WAR is that's kind of good. But it's not horrible, but it's definitely not great. But yeah, I think he's definitely in the bottom 20% of Hall of Famers, no doubt about that. All right, next up we got Cool Papa Bell. That might be the coolest nickname in the universe. So, Negro Leaguer, played on, looks like St. Louis. Man, look, he was doing all the leadoff hitter stuff. Just led the league in steals a bunch of times, scored a bunch of runs, a bunch of hits. 31 WAR as a Negro Leaguer, which is on the higher side. I would say, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1974, which means he was among the very first. So he was recognized early on as, we got to get this guy in. Now that we're putting in Negro Leaguers, Cool Papa Bell was one of the first guys they thought of. I'm not sure. So Cool Papa Bell, there's all these legends about him, like, Cool Papa Bell was so fast he could turn off the light switch and be in bed before it got dark. So, this guy's basically he's like Robin Hood or King Arthur, kind of like a folklore hero almost. Let's take a look at his Hall of Fame plaque. Combined speed, batting, and daring and batting skill. Rate him the fastest man on the base pass. Played, 30 years of pro ball. He's definitely either A or S tier. I'm not sure if he's quite considered S tier among Negro Leaguers. I think he's more regarded as like just below that tier. I'm thinking A tier for Cool Papa. What do you think?
Yeah, I've heard a lot about him. I read about him, especially the speed. I go A tier without arguing.
All right. Okay, next up we got another Negro Leaguer, Willard Brown. Can't say I've heard of this guy. Let's just look at his numbers real quick. Wow, tons of black ink there. Jeez, yeah, like led the league in hits and RBIs and slugging a bunch of times. Steals, like, geez, he led in homers and steals one year. Now, keep in mind, Negro League stats are spotty, but when you look at a guy's stat sheet like this and you just see everything bolded, that's very impressive. And he missed a year of ball for World War II. It looks like 2 almost. Led the league in WAR 6 times. Let's take a look at his plaque. Again, barely know anything about him. Willard Brown, power hitting center fielder who helped lead the Monarchs to 6 pennants. Free swinger who's averaged regularly top 300. Played a bunch. 2 Triple Crown. Oh, and Puerto Rican. I don't think I would consider that. He looks great. I can't say I've heard of him, so definitely can't put him in S tier, but man, those numbers are pretty impressive. I think I'd be comfortable putting him in A tier based on what I know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he looks really good. I mean, if you wanted to put him in S tier, I mean, I guess you could. But yeah, he looks really good.
Yeah, I don't think I can put someone I've never heard of in S tier, especially given, obviously Negro Leaguers don't have as much star power, but I've at least heard of all, the big stars, and I don't remember hearing about him much. So I don't know if he has the star power for S tier, but he looks great, and A tier definitely feels good. All right, next up we got Max Carey. Max Carey, formerly known as Maximilian Carnarius. So he had binomial nomenclature. 56 WAR, about 2,700 hits. Yeah, tons of steals. 361 on base. 110 or 108 OPS plus isn't that amazing. But when you're a leadoff hitter, if you can kind of have a high on base, we don't really care about your slugging as much. So it looks like this guy was just, your typical speedy leadoff center field type. Great glove. I can buy him as kind of a Kenny Lofton type. They look to have pretty similar rap sheets. So, no power, but, tons of triples and doubles and, scored runs, got on base, stole bags. Yeah, I can buy Carey as maybe a C tier. What do you think about Max Carey?
Yeah, C tier, maybe D tier, just because of the WAR.
Yeah,
a little on the light side again.
Yeah,
I'm not thinking he's average. I mean, again, you've got a guy like Kenny Lofton who's not in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
and you've got Carey, who's I'm not real sure. I'd have to look at Lofton's WAR, but his WAR might be lower than Lofton's.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I think Lofton is up in the mid to high 60s, so he's way lower. That's a lot of steals, though. 738 steals. That's actually pretty impressive. But yeah, he doesn't really have much star power. He was on the Pirates in the dead ball era. Played with Hannes Wagner. Yeah, I think you can buy him as a D tier. That tracks the low WAR and the lack of power or star power. All right, up next we got Oscar Charleston, another Negro Leaguer. So Oscar Charleston, to me, he is one of the big three. There's Josh Gibson, Satchel Paige, and Oscar Charleston that are no doubt about it S tier Hall of Famers. He was just one of the, he's on the Mount Rushmore of Negro Leaguers. Just look at him, man. Just led the league in everything. He was just unbelievable in his 20s. Got 50 WAR as a Negro Leaguer, which, you can at least double that. He's over 100 WAR if you compare him to, guys that played in the big leagues their whole career. Let's look at his plaque. Rated among all-time greats of Negro Leaguers, versatile star, batted over 300, speed, arm, fielding instincts, made him a standout center fielder. Later moved to first base, managed a bunch of teams. Spent 40 years in Negro League baseball. Yeah, this guy is definitely, he's like always mentioned as one of the top three Negro Leaguers. So he's an S tier. Any words on Oscar Charleston?
No, he is S tier. He's one I always read about, and I mean I think his numbers and his reputation speak for itself. I have no dispute putting him in S tier.
All right. Speaking of S tier, Ty Cobb. So Ty Cobb, 150. I'll just put him in S tier right now. We don't need to. We don't need any suspense on Ty Cobb. So geez, like Ty Cobb was just the best. 150 WAR. He just led what's that, like 15 batting titles. He even he led in home runs. So he played in the dead ball era. He didn't hit a lot of home runs, but he said I could have hit home runs, but just it wasn't what you did back then. And I believe him. I mean, he led the league in home runs. That 117 homers was, it was probably top 10, at the point, before Babe Ruth broke out around 1920. For way over 4,000 hits. He was the steal leader until Lou Brock broke his record. Yeah, just, man, look how many times he cracked 9 or 10 WAR. And, it would have been more, but he was playing along, Babe Ruth there toward the end. So just, all-time great, inner ring, no doubt about it. Any words on Ty Cobb?
Yeah, I've been reading about him probably my whole life, but one thing that I will say that I've read more recently is he really wasn't that bad of a person. He had a reputation of being really nasty on the field and really nasty off, but I've actually read that he wasn't, believe it or not.
Yeah, supposedly he pissed off a well-known sports writer who wrote a hatchet piece on him and made him look like this horrible racist person, but he was like very vocally in favor of breaking the color barrier. He supported Jackie Robinson, and I'm sure he's like probably not much fun to play against. I'm sure he'd knock you down at second base, stuff like that. But I think he was only like sports hated and not like a real life villain or anything. So yeah, absolutely an all-time inner ring Mount Rushmore type of guy. All right, next up we got Earl Combs. So Earl Combs is one of those guys that was just kind of there. So Combs, 45 WAR. He was the center fielder for Murderers Row Yankees. He did hit 325. That's pretty good. But, man, I don't know. Short career, 45 WAR. Just led in triples and has a hits title. A very good player, no doubt. But just between the short career, the lack of star power, I don't know, is he rated? Yeah, averaged glove in center. I don't know. I don't even think this guy should be in great seasons. Yeah, he only cracked 6 once. He's either E or F. What do you think about Earl Combs?
I wouldn't dispute either. I think you hit the nail on the head. He was just there. Mm-hmm. He was on the Murderers Row. He didn't play long enough. A 40-something WAR is just not... I think it may be an F, but maybe you can boost him up to an E because he was part of Murderer's Row and
Yeah.
just kind of swallow your pride and slide him in there at the very bottom of Hall of Famers. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't fight you too hard on either.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna put him as at E because he did have some good seasons. He wasn't like completely, bereft of great seasons or anything. But yeah, he's about as bad a guy I would consider a Hall of Famer as it is. I mean, he did have a 7-WAR season. He did have 5 WAR per 162. I've seen guys under 3 that are in the Hall of Fame. So there's room for to get even worse than this. But yeah, he's an E tier, and I wouldn't fight an F tier if someone else felt strongly about it. All right, next up we got Andre Dawson, very interesting player. So he was the Cubs and Expos center fielder throughout the 80s mostly. He was kind of a power speed guy. He hit 49 homers one year. Earlier in his career, he was stealing 30 bags. He had 119 OPS plus. Played an excellent center field. How many accolades he's got? So he's got an MVP, 8 All-Star games, Rookie of the Year. I remember most of his career. Well, not most of it, I guess. I remember the tail end of it. It looks like he was a great player, in the 80s, and then he just kind of stuck around a lot longer and was kind of mediocre for about 8 years, toward the end of his career when he wasn't really like a big power hitter or a big steals guy anymore, and he was kind of playing corner outfield toward the end there. And you're like, why is this guy a Hall of Famer? But he was quite good earlier on his career. No major milestones, but 2,700 hits, 400 homers, so he was kind of approaching it. This guy has big C tier energy to me. I think he was a good all around player, but he wasn't amazing at any one thing. What do you think about Dawson?
Yeah, he was just one of those guys. He was definitely well above average. I remember watching him. I mean, he was a very good hitter. No one iconic moment that I can think of, but he was always somebody that he's like, yeah, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I think C feels about right.
Yeah. Okay, next up after Andre Dawson, we got Joe DiMaggio. So DiMaggio is, he's got the fame down to a T, man. He's mentioned in songs, and he's married to Marilyn Monroe. He was Mr. Coffee commercials after he retired. He missed 3 years right smack in the middle, age 28 through 30. He was putting up 5-6 WAR, so go ahead and add 20 WAR to his 80. So he's up around 100. How many MVPs? 1, 2, 3 MVPs. Finished second or third several other times. To me, he's an S tier. He's just amazing, super famous. What do you think about DiMaggio?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. He's an S tier. He's got music written about him. He's married to Marilyn Monroe. I mean, just everything about him screams S tier.
Yeah, no
including
brainer.
His numbers.
Yeah, no brainer there. All right, next up we got Larry Doby. Doby was also on Cleveland. He was the first black man in the American League, so he was kind of second after Jackie Robinson. So he's kind of has a little, Garfunkel and Oates energy to him there. Again, like Jackie, he wasn't quite as great as Jackie, but 57 WAR in the big, combined through the Negro Leagues as well. He did make the big leagues at 24 or 23, so he probably had pretty close to a full career. Had his, how many 6 WAR seasons we got? Yeah, correct, 6 3 times, 5 another time. Yeah, definitely, and obviously, breaking the color barrier in the AL adds, I don't even want to, couldn't really put a number on it, but, it's way more than he's way more than a 57 WAR guy, for sure. Just take a look at his plaque to contextualize him. Wow. Exceptional hitting prowess and a staunch constitution. So, they got tons to say about him. He managed the White Sox. He's the second black man to lead a major league club after Frank Robinson. This guy's kind of Jackie Robinson light. I don't think I can quite put him in in S tier because he doesn't have the star power and he wasn't quite the player Jackie Robinson was. But I think he's A tier when you consider everything. What do you think about Doby?
Yeah. I can go A tier. He went through so much, breaking the color barrier, and he still put up really good numbers for his career. It couldn't have been easy. I'm not gonna fight you on A tier.
All right. Next up, we got Hugh Duffy. So Hugh Duffy was a 19th century guy. So 43 WAR, won 2 batting titles. There's 2 batting titles. He had this other season where he had scored a lot of runs. 160 runs twice. That's a lot. WAR, he only cracked 5 once. 1,500 hits. Now keep in mind in the 1800s they weren't playing as many games, so it's not like a full career type thing here. Let's look at his per 162. So 4 WAR per 162. So did he have a lot of steals or something? Yeah, almost 600 steals. Duffy, I think he managed maybe. Not really, not much of a manager. Now he did get inducted in the 40s, so he was like kind of one of the top 19th century guys in everybody's minds at the time. I don't know what to do with this guy. He's definitely not impressive. I can buy him as a D tier though. Yeah, what do you think about Hugh Duffy?
Yeah, he's a D tier. I can agree with that.
Yeah, like I don't mind him being in, but he's just really light on everything you want to see, both peak and career, and he's pretty much tailor-made D tier as far as I'm concerned. All right, next up after Duffy, we got Ken Griffey Jr. How cool was this guy in the 90s? He looked like he was gonna be just the best of all time. In the 90s, he just did it all. Look at all this WAR, 8-9 WAR. He only won 1 MVP, but it felt like he should have won 3 or 4. He was cracking 50 dingers, stealing bags, playing Gold Glove center field. And then he just got traded to the Reds when he turned 30, and just injuries and lack of, his skill just left him. And how many WAR? So he had 71 WAR with the Mariners and 13 with the Reds and 0.4 with the White Sox. Never forget his White Sox phase of 08. But man, 13 All-Star games, 10 Gold Gloves. I'm having trouble not putting him in S tier. I know the second half of his career was really underwhelming, but he was so good in the 90s that I think that he could do no wrong. By the time 99 rolled around, you were just this guy's like Mike Trout. This guy's like Mickey Mantle. I don't know. Any words on Ken Griffey Jr.? Do you think he doesn't belong in the S tier?
I mean, this is probably one of the hardest eras of sports to gauge how good people were, because a lot of people around him were doing steroids.
Yep, and
a lot of people around him were, kind of prolonging their careers into their 30s and 40s, where Griffey did not.
Mm-hmm.
And this is it's so tough. In my mind, watching him play, he was the best player.
He was so famous.
Better than Barry Bonds. He was better than McGuire. He was better than Sosa, and he did it naturally.
Yep. And nobody even thought that he did PEDs.
I think he's S tier. I think he's just different. He was so good. He was the best of the best in the field. The plays that he would make at the plate, the steals, the dingers, every part of his game was so good.
And he was.
I think he's S tier.
Yeah, and he was so famous and popular, and everybody liked him, and he was such a likable guy, and he just played the game with this childlike, glee, and man, he was just so awesome. I don't even care about the second half of his career. He's just the first half was so good that he was never gonna drop S tier. All right, next up after Junior, we got the other Billy Hamilton, not the Speedy Red of the 2010s, but the Speedy Philly of the 1890s. So this dude was a stolen base and a walk machine. He had 914 steals. Wow, that is a lot of walks. He only had 2,000 hits, but he walked so much, he had like way over 3,000 combined. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on base titles, 141 OPS plus. Only 63 WAR, but again, remember 1800s, they were playing 120, 130 games back then. His rates, 6.4. Remember the average Hall of Famer is in the 5, so center fielder, average Hall of Fame center fielder is 5.4, so he was well above that, a whole win above that. Man, this guy, I don't know if I'd quite put him in A tier, but he's definitely B tier to me. What do you think about Billy?
Got some space in B tier.
We need a B tier. B is for Billy.
B for Billy.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's definitely above average Hall of Famer. The on-base percentage is pretty impressive, but when you look at a 140 OPS plus, like, that's above average Hall of Famer. But that's not A, that's not S tier. I think B is accurate. Like, not trying to be funny, but yeah, I think B's about right.
Yeah. I feel good about Billy and B. All right, next up after Billy is Pete Hill. So Pete Hill is another Negro Leaguer. You barely have any stats on him. Just, they have him at 4 WAR. So he's one of the guys that just got, the stat coverage did not cover him. So we're gonna have to read his plaque. All right. So he played in the pre-Negro League. So this was kind of a proto-Negro League type guy, maybe like a pioneer almost. So he was the catalyst and captain of the great Giants clubs of the 10s, line drive hitter with exceptional back control, gracefully roamed center field, had a rifle arm, respected leader, was a player manager. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with these guys where we don't really have anything resembling stats and we just have to go off this one narrative. It didn't look like there was much for me to hang my hat on and be like, oh yeah, they're just like, yeah, he was good at all this stuff, but like they didn't have any numbers or anything superlative to compel me. So he looks like he was kind of like one of those 19th century type guys where you're like, okay, like I can buy that he was an important player from back in the day, but he doesn't really he doesn't have the staying power to still look like a star. So I can maybe stick him at C just because I have no frame of reference to put him lower, but I'm not seeing anything to put him any higher than C. What do you think about Pete Hill?
I think that's fair. I mean, I've never heard of him. He could have been like the most amazing player of his era, but I don't know.
Yeah, just one of the great tragedies of, both the Negro Leagues and color barrier to begin with and the whole, data coverage thing. We don't even know what he did. And, some of the other Negro Leaguers, we have plenty of stats on them. And, some guys we can look at and be like, oh, wow, I've never heard of him. But wow, like, Willard Brown. But then, this guy might have been Willard Brown, but just we don't know and we'll never know. And that sucks. All right, next up after Pete Hill, we got Mickey Mantle. Mick the Stick. It's the Yankees center fielder of the 60s. Gosh, just look at this guy, man. The 9-11 WAR bunch of times. Won the Triple Crown in 56. Had a somewhat shortened career. Had to retire at 36, but, he was still going. So one of the things, so Mickey Mantle, he hit 237, and he's like, oh, I suck. But he had a 143 OPS plus because he was still great at getting on base, and he could still hit 20 homers. So I feel like if he was playing in today's game, he could probably sign a 3-year deal, and make pretty good money as a DH. So 500 homers, 2,400 hits. Was just all-time great defensive center fielder. It's obvious S tier to me. What do you think about Mickey Mantle?
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about baseball grades, Mickey Mantle is one of the best. Great fielder. Career shortened by alcoholism. Pretty sad story when you think about it. I mean, just if he had, played his career sober, like what would he have done? But he was still amazing.
Yeah.
So,
man,
I put him in S tier.
Yeah, Wow, 3 MVPs, great nicknames. Yeah, all-time great. Speaking of all-time greats, Willie Mays might be even better. Might be the greatest center fielder of all time. I'll stick him in the S tier right now. So Willie Mays played in New York at the same time as Mickey Mantle. They were crosstown rivals. 156 WAR, 2 MVPs, Rookie of the Year. Man, just, oh, wow, look at this WAR. Gosh, cracked 10 like 8 times. Just hit 50 homers twice, I believe. Yeah, 51 and 55, 52 and 65. Just tons of black ink over there. Just finished top 10 MVP almost every year. Won like every Gold Glove. How many All-Star games? 24 All-Star games. Wow. Yeah, just, man, I couldn't possibly say enough about... Oh, and he played in the Negro Leagues early on in his career, too, when he was 17. Any words on Willie Mays?
I mean, clear S tier. As a Guardians fan, you kind of remember
the catch.
The catch over the shoulder.
Yeah.
And, you grumble about it a little bit, but he was amazing. I mean, S tier all the way.
Yeah, like he's like on the baseball Mount Rushmore. Like I don't know who you could possibly rank above him. All right, next up after Willie Mays, we got Kirby Puckett. So Kirby was one of the most surprising first ballot Hall of Famers to me. Got just 50 WAR. Now he famously had a shortened career, only played 12 years. Didn't have any MVPs, although he finished top 10 7 or 8 times. Won a bunch of Gold Gloves. He had 4.6 WAR per 162, which is below average. Although he cracked 7 a couple times. So he's good at getting hits. Average fielder. Did win 6 Gold Gloves, 10 All-Stars. Batting title. So after he retired, there was some, controversy where he was, like maybe some domestic abuse type stuff. And then he died at 46. So just a very, quick and, painful end to his career and then his life shortly thereafter. He's not a great Hall of Famer, though, even if you ignore all the off-the-field stuff. He didn't play very long, and he didn't have the rate stats, and that is a lot of hits, though. He hit 200 hits a bunch of times, and, he's certainly a very good player and had some good peak. I don't know if he's not an F tier, because he was, if you lead the league in WAR and, have 7 WAR twice, you're not an F tier. Like, you were great briefly, but I don't know if I can rank him much higher than E. What do you think about Puckett?
Yeah, I'm thinking D or E. He was just a fun player to watch. The way that he jumped and dove in the bases, and he was just deceptively nimble.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he always, he played with flair and style, and I think the sports writers liked him, and that's why he got in so easily. D or E feels right. Certainly
a likable, spunky guy. Like, he's listed at 178, but he was way over 200 pounds. He was a spark plug shaped guy. But yeah, just kind of a controversial legacy. All right, next up after Kirby, we got Ed Roush. Ed Roush, I believe, was the Reds center fielder in the teens and 20s. 2 batting titles, not really much black. He did have this really good season in 18, but yeah, man, not good. Only 46 WAR, only 3.8 per 162. That's well below the average of 5 point something. Gosh, man, he is definitely. Let's look at his peak. Yeah, only cracked 5 twice. Yeah, not much of a ball player at all. Let's look at his plaque, see if there's anything there. Any je ne sais quoi. Alright, led in batting average. So they're just talking about his batting average. And he had the most putouts one year. Yeah, who cares about putouts in 1 year? Man.
Somebody did at some point.
Yeah, clearly. Okay, so all they have to say about him is about his batting average, and he had 2 batting titles, and 323 is good. but it's not I mean, there are Hall of Famers with much lower batting average, but just overall, I can't buy this guy's anything but an E or F. I don't know. What do you think about Roush? I don't know if he's an F, but he's an E, I think. What do you think about Roush?
Yeah, he's one of those E tier guys. I've been to the Reds Hall of Fame, and I don't even remember his plaque there.
Yeah.
Yeah, E.
Yeah, I mean, 2,400 hits. That's pretty good. Yeah, I don't think I would quite kick him out, but man, he is a lower quality Hall of Famer for sure. All right, next up we got Duke Snider. So Duke Snider played in New York at the same time as Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle, and he was kind of the not quite up to snuff with those two guys, but he was certainly an excellent player. So he had 66 WAR. I think he hit 40 home runs. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hit 40 homers 5 times in a row, which is pretty cool. Yeah, had as high as 9 WAR. Cracked 7 4 times. That's quite good. Let's see what other accolades he had. 8 All-Star games. But remember, it was like he was up against Willie Mays every year for the All-Star team. So, who could possibly have a lot of All-Star games when their career overlaps exactly with Willie Mays? Do you have any MVPs? No MVPs, although he finished top 10 5 or 6 times. I could buy Duke as a B tier. He's definitely an above average Hall of Famer, but not really any greater than that. What do you think about Duke?
Yeah, I mean, I remember reading about him growing up, and he was definitely one of the greats. B tier feels like where he belongs.
Yeah. All right, next up we got Tris Speaker. Another Cleveland guy. Tristram Speaker. So, Tris had 135 WAR. Wow. Cracked 10 a couple times. Cracked 8, 7, like, man, 10 times. Wow. That's unbelievable. He hit the most doubles ever. That's very cool. 3,500 hits. That's like 5th or 6th on the list. 345 hitter, 158 OPS plus, while playing a very good center field. Wow, man, we're kind of loading up on S tier guys here, but like I think I have to put Tris Speaker at S tier also. What do you think about Tris?
Yeah, it looks like that's where the best players played.
Yeah, I mean,
like some of the best players in Major League Baseball. Like yeah, okay, like some guys played shortstop, but man, like. These are the guys you know. Like you walk into the Hall of Fame and these S tier guys, and that's where the best fielders played.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at all these guys and I'm like, wow, are we being too generous? But like, who the heck do we take off? Like these are all S tier like Hall of Famers. So yeah, you're right. They just like a bunch of S tier guys played center field. That's where the greatest athletes go. All right, next up we got Turkey Stearnes.
John Fogerty made a song about it.
Yeah.
So, it must have been popular.
That was no coincidence. All right, next up we got Turkey Stearnes. Man, what a great nickname. Norman Thomas Stearnes. I'd probably go by Turkey if my real name were Norman too. I don't blame you, Turk. All right, wow, very long career, tons of WAR, 8.1 WAR per 162. Holy gosh, yeah, this guy 348 hitter, 170 or 177 OPS plus. Wow.
Ooh.
Let's look at his page.
How have I not heard of him?
I know. All right, one of the Negro League's most feared hitters, hit 300, led the triples, graceful center fielder. All right, yeah, nothing, where you look at it and you're like, oh, wow. But man, I don't think I can put Turkey at S tier because, like, he just doesn't have the name recognition. But, like, everything else about him is, like, A tier. What do you think about Turkey?
Yeah. I mean, you can pound the table for S tier. Like, the numbers are really impressive. I'm a little surprised. I've never heard of him.
Yeah, like, if someone who's an expert on Negro League history was like, oh, no, Turkey was very much an S tier, I'd be like, okay, yep, absolutely, I believe you. But just the fact that you never hear about him, part of being S tier is, star power and, like, being known as one of the all-time greats. And he lacks that. But again, like if someone who knows what they're talking about, feels strongly that he's an S tier, I would put him there without an eye blink. All right, next up we got Cristobal Torriente, a Cuban Negro Leaguer. His name is very fun to say. All right, so, not much going on stat coverage wise. Had a couple, OPS plus leading seasons. 6.4 per 162, which is average to above average. Let's look at his page. A compact and powerful 5-tool player with tremendous power to all fields. Sounds kind of like Kirby Puckett. Ranks among RBIs. Exceptional speed and range. Played in Cuba. Outplayed Babe Ruth during a barnstorming series. Okay, so he was playing in Cuba before the Negro League, so that's why there's not much coverage on him, because he was in another league. Yeah, I think this is one of those guys where you just kind of have to like rely on the legend more than stats or anything. Yeah, he was playing in the teens and 20s. He certainly had a couple excellent seasons, and his rate stats were really good. I think I can buy B tier for Cristobal. What do you think about Cristobal?
Yeah, it's a really hard one. B tier.
All right. Next up, we got Lloyd Waner. Lloyd Waner is a terrible Hall of Fame choice. Lloyd Waner got in because his brother was a very deserving Hall of Famer, Paul. But, there's Big Poison and Little Poison, and they feel like if Big Poison had to go and, it's like when you have two dogs, it's like if one dog gets a treat, the other dog has to get a treat or he'll whine. So it just kind of feels like Lloyd got in because his brother was good. He only had 30 WAR, he was a pretty good leadoff type looking guy, got hits and runs early in his career, but God, man, 2.4 WAR per 162. Yeah, this is not, what was his peak? Gosh, he never even cracked 5, and he had 4. Yeah, this is an obvious F tier. This guy does not belong in the Hall of Fame at all. What do you think about Little Poison?
I agree. I think he got in because of his brother.
Yeah. Oh, well. All right, last up is Hack Wilson. So Hack Wilson, 5'6", 190. In 1930 at 56 home runs, 190 RBI. So he hit his height and weight, which is kind of cool. All right, so Hack Wilson has the single season RBI title, which is pretty cool. He did have some excellent seasons. He cracked 6 3 times. He has 4 homer crowns. So he's mostly in for this, 50 homer, 190 RBI season, which was unbelievable. So this is a peak guy. This is a Roger Maris type pick who is just incredible for 1 or 2 seasons, but didn't really have the career, padding around it. So because he was that great at one point, I'm not going to consider him an F, but I don't think I can rate him any higher than E. He just didn't play long enough. He only played 12 seasons, and 3 of them were, way less than halftime. What do you think about Hack? You think he's D or E, or where does he go?
I mean, he got the record for most RBIs, but
yeah.
Really, he's like E or F. I mean, that WAR, he just doesn't belong. I mean, you could give him a plaque for most RBIs in a season and just call it a day. I mean, I don't really see why he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, again, he was Hall of Fame caliber for a 2 to 3 year period, which is more than you can say for Lloyd Waner. It's like, I don't buy him as an F tier. I mean, I value peak a lot, and if you're great briefly, I'll take that over a guy who's like Harold Baines, who's mediocre for a very long time, if they have the same WAR, career WAR. But, I don't think I would kick him out, but he's in the bottom 20%. I think I'll stick him at E also. All right, this is a very interesting distribution. Not too many guys in the middle. We got 7 S tier, but I think they all deserve it. I mean, all 7 of those guys are way over 100 WAR or otherwise just unbelievable players who are just no doubt about it S tier. So that's almost 2 Mount Rushmores just among center fielders, and then a bunch of fringy guys at the bottom who don't really belong. So so that'll wrap up our center field series. So look out for our right field coming up next week. All right, well, thanks for watching. Take it easy, Smokey. See you next time.
All right, take it easy.